As a child, I had a very small world. My brother, my sister, and my mother. We grew up in a physically very dangerous place, but I was clueless, oblivious how difficult my mother's life was and how easy she made our lives. So by the time I was 16, I realized that I had to do something fundamentally different, and the entire motivation was to make sure that I could get her out of the neighborhood that we were living in. And if you're good at math, what do? The career that paid the most money after 4 years of college was chemical engineering. I said, that's what I'm gonna become. And I started to apply to colleges. It was clear my mother was carrying the weight of the world, taking care of her kids. But she looked and appeared to me to be older than she was, or more fragile. And my responsibility was to make sure my mother didn't suffer much more. So I stayed. Went to college right up the street from where I grew up. And it was the best decision I ever made. In the undergraduate school, you get all of these placements. And the third summer, I worked at Xerox. And I went there and it was perfect. They were not concerned about how I looked. They were not highly concerned about how I spoke. I was rough, but I was really smart and I worked really hard and I was extremely organized. And they allowed me to practice what I had learned. One of the things that I loved about mechanical engineering was the goal was to fix a problem. And you had to first figure out the solution and then perfect it. You just have to kind of understand it as possible to be done and then work hard on getting it better. And that's one of the most amazing things about engineering. Xerox was a perfect match for me. I was a perfect match for the company. They said, we want you to come to work for us, but we would prefer if you go to graduate school. So I said, sure. So I took the job, and that catapulted me. I've been in the company now for 7 or 8 years. They give me a business to run. They made me a vice president and general manager. From that, they literally said, we want you to go run this massive business. When I became CEO, the first call that I got was from the New York Times. The entire story was, you are the first African-American woman CEO. Fortune did a cover on it. I got calls from Magic Johnson, from Al Sharpton, from Jesse Jackson. George Bush called me. Bill Clinton called me. And I'm like, wow. So there was this unbelievable uproar outside. Literally, I'd be walking in New York City and people would stop me. And they would say, you're Ursula Burns. Literally, it happened all the time. And my daughter is the one who said to me, don't you understand? Mom, don't you understand how big a deal you are to these people? You are them. When they see you, they see the possibility that it could be them or their children. I became an engineer by luck. Nobody guided me into engineering. Because I was good and stubborn and persistent, I became good at it. You could not run this world without engineers. All of the stuff that we live in, every single thing, the carpet, the chair you sit in, the water, the fact that you can get upstairs in the elevator, there is not a thing, not one thing, that an engineer did not touch. Did not touch and almost surely perfected. You're gonna get knocked down over and over and over again, but you have to pick something that you do that you love so much that you stand up every single time. Pick one. Mechanical, civil, software, whatever you want. Aeronautical engineer, become an engineer. You're gonna like it.